Okay. Yesterday we learned about inheritance. Inheritance in object-oriented programming. Some points already I told you. We will see types of inheritance today. Already we saw that. One is we have single inheritance. Single inheritance. Single inheritance is nothing but technically a base class. A base class is extended. A base class is extended by using derived class. By using derived class. Multi-level inheritance. So a derived class is extended. A derived class is extended by another derived. A derived class is extended by another derived class. That's what actually multi-level. So one more, we have multiple inheritance. So multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance means a single derived class implements multiple superclasses. So it is not supported for classes in object-oriented programming. It is not supported for classes in object-oriented programming. Actually, it is supported for interfaces, but JavaScript don't have interface. JavaScript don't have interface. JavaScript is not having interface. So this is generally how multiple inheritance. Now the question here is, so that means syntax is actually here, class derived extends super 1 super 2 like this. This is not supported. This is invalid. That's what actually multiple means. Multi-level is supported, but multiple is not supported. Why it is not supported? The frequently asked question, why multiple inheritance is not supported for multiple inheritance is not supported for classes. Multiple inheritance is not supported for classes. multiple inheritance is not supported for classes? So that is the question actually. Answer for this is why multiple inheritance is not supported for classes. Generally, the correct technical answer for this is so because of constructor deadlock. Because of constructor deadlock. Because of constructor deadlock, it is not supported. So what is meant by constructor deadlock? Why it is not supported? What is the problem about that constructor deadlock? Actually, what is meant by constructor deadlock? Yesterday we discussed one rule. Always first superclass constructor should run. After superclass constructor, derived class constructor. So, because the point is, suppose if we have like super 1, super 2, and super 3. Now, every superclass have a constructor and we are having derived. This derived class is extends super 1, super 2, and super 3. And derived class is having a constructor. As per the rules, this derived class constructor must have a super call. We are calling it super constructor. Now the question here is, this super refers to which superclass? Super 1 or 2 or 3. Suppose here this is 3, right? It refers to which superclass? Is it 1 or 2 or 3? That's important. To which superclass it refers? There is nothing like order, like 1, 2, 3. That's not order. Now what happens is, we have memory. In this memory, means process memory. In the process memory, one constructor should load. That means this is the memory waiting for constructor. This is the memory waiting for constructor. One constructor should come. Now what happens? 3 classes are there. If 3 classes are there, then this superclass is waiting for this class constructor to send to into process. And this superclass is waiting for this class to send constructor into process. And this is waiting for others. That means all superclasses are waiting for each other and no one is sending the constructor. This mechanism is called deadlock. Deadlock. Deadlock is a multi-threading concept. For example, we have a door. From the door, only one person is allowed to go. 2 people are there waiting for each other. That means no one is going into it. That is deadlock situation. That means 3 constructors are there, but all 3 constructors waiting for each other. No constructor goes into it. So if any constructor will not go into process, then it will not work. That is the reason it is not supported for classes, because constructors will not load at all. Now, why it is supported for interfaces? In JavaScript, we don't have interface. In JavaScript, we don't have interface, but in C++, Java, .NET, other OOP languages, they have interfaces. And they will teach you that interfaces will support multiple inheritance, classes will not support. Why interface will support multiple inheritance? Because interface don't have constructors. In object-oriented programming, interface don't have a constructor. Class have a constructor. If interface is not having a constructor, then there is no deadlock at all. So that means why multiple inheritance is not supported. So many answers you will get. Sometimes, majority of times, you will hear the answer from learners that they talk about ambiguity issue. Ambiguity means they will say that if all classes are having same name methods, then problem will come. So if they are having same name methods, you are saying that problem will come. If not having same name methods, then it will work? No. That means that is not right answer. That means you are saying that if same name methods are there, then problem will come. If not there, then it will work multiple inheritance? No. That means having same name methods or not, that is not the issue of multiple inheritance. The issue of multiple inheritance is about constructors. The concept is called constructor deadlock. That means deadlock is a situation. Technically, deadlock is a situation where every constructor waits for each other. Is a situation every constructor waits for each other. So interface in OOP supports multiple inheritance, as it doesn't have constructor, So there is no constructor deadlock at all if it is not having a constructor. So that is multiple inheritance and why multiple inheritance is not supported. That is because of constructor deadlocks. So this is in object-oriented programming of JavaScript. And JavaScript don't have interfaces, so no need to worry about that point at all. So technically, what is the purpose of inheritance? What is the purpose of inheritance? Code extensibility. The main purpose of inheritance is reusability and extensibility. So that means reusing and extending. Without disturbing the component, we have to extend the component. That is done through inheritance. Yesterday, that's what I told you. Next, in object-oriented programming, in JavaScript, it supports polymorphism. Now, what is polymorphism and how this polymorphism works? what is polymorphism and how polymorphism actually works. To understand that, one simple concept we need to know. See, actually earlier we used to have a device called pager. Earlier we have a device called pager, and we have digital data bank or digital organizer. Now we have camera and we have phone. Actually, in early days we have a device called pager. I hope you might have seen pager. Pagers are used for sending SMS, only SMS. Before mobiles came, pagers were the first devices we used. Pagers are used for only sending SMS. So you might have seen them. Suppose a pager. Pager looks like this. This is pager. This is pager. Pager is a device that contains messages, that sends messages, displaying messages remotely. Before calling came, first these pagers came, messages came. So this is pager. We have digital organizers earlier. Digital organizers are used for storing contacts. It is used for appointments. It is used for calculator, all such operations, notes, all such things we used to maintain in digital. It's like a diary, digital diary. Reminders, alarms, clock, everything will be there. That means it used to have alarm, clock. So all such things are there. So you can see digital organizers. Digital organizer looks like this. This is digital organizers. We used to maintain these digital organizers for contacts, notes, calculators, such operations we used to do on this. Digital organizers, people used very extensively them early days. Now cameras are used for taking photos and videos, cameras. And phone is for calling. For calling we use phones and all. Now we have a device. Now we have a device called mobile. Now we have a device called mobile, and this mobile can do all these works. Everything. That means it can do all these things. That means now the nature here is, if I don't have a SIM card, still I can take photos, videos, I can use Wi-Fi calling, I can use so many things. That means if I don't have a SIM card, it can be used for alarms, calculators, photos. That means one device is having multiple behaviors. So that is what we call as poly, means many, morphos means forms. That means polymorphism is the ability of one component to work for different situations. The ability of a component to work for different situations. Component is only one. Earlier we have to use a lot of components, but now one component can work for all of them. That's good. It reduces complexity, and you don't need to remember or use so many things. One is enough for everyone. So in object oriented programming, polymorphism means you must able to design a class, a object. You must able to design an object in such a way that it can work for different classes. means that can work for different situations. Actually, an object can work for only one class. An object can work for only one class. That means what we do here, we generally create here let obj object is equal to new class. That means this object belongs to class 1. It belongs to class 1. You cannot say class 1, class 2, class 3. It's not possible. That means now it is designed for a class. It can work for that class. Suppose I have 10 classes and I want to handle those 10 classes. Then usually to handle those 10 classes, you need 10 objects. But if you can create one object which can work for all 10 classes, that means you know polymorphism. So if anybody says that I know polymorphism in OOPS, that means he must able to design an object which can work for different classes. That is the concept of polymorphism. Here, how this works, let's see one example. That means how the polymorphism concept can handle. So that means how you can design one class, one object working for different classes. For example, here you see I'm creating a class employee. This employee class have first name, so have last name, and have designation. Okay. And there is a print method. This print method will print the detail document.write. It will print first name, this dot first name, and space this dot last name, and hyphen, so this dot designation. It will print these details. Okay, we'll put a BR line break. Now this is employee is a class which have some prototype template, first name, last name, designation, and print. Now we are creating a class developer. Developer is an employee. That means developer will have to use all the features of employee. But in addition to that, developer have his own role, different role for developers. He's employee, but different role. That means developer extends employee. That means all employee features will come. So that means here we define first name is equal to some Raj something. Last name is equal to Kumar something. And designation is equal to developer. Okay. In addition to that, he have a option called role. And role is an extended feature. So in this extended feature, so here we write developer role. So build, debug, test, deploy. So such responsibility I define. Now important is I will put a break. Okay. Now I want to print. So I will have a print method. This will print the super print method. That means first name, last name, designation. After that, it will print. So this also document.write. It will print this dot role. Role also print. Means in addition to already what it is having, some extra work we given. Printing the role like that. Okay. Now, similarly, I will create another employee. This employee is also this is I defined as some admin. He is also employee. Admin also employee. Admin is also employee. And some name I have given. And here I given designation as admin. And here I given as admin role. Admin role. So here I given some details like authentication, authorization like this, authorization like this. Now it is also printing the details. Now we have another employee, that is manager. So different name. So some manager, some Tom, some say Hanks like this. And this is like designation manager. And here manager role is some approvals. That's it. Just approvals like this. Now we are printing the details. Now here, how many employees are there? 3. We have a developer, admin, and manager. What is this employee? It's a template. It's a template used by all employees. Okay. Now, which kind of inheritance it is referring? Which kind of inheritance it is referring? Is it single, multi-level, or multiple? Which type of inheritance it is referring? Multi-level. Where you find multi-level here? Developer is extending employee. Is admin extending developer? No. Developer is also extending employee only. That means what kind of inheritance it is? Single. Single inheritance. Every class is independent, na? Developer is independent, admin is independent. No? Admin is independent, manager is independent. What is employee? Don't think in this way, reverse way. Don't think that this employee is being used by many. Employee is used as blueprint here. Employee is a blueprint. So that means how many employees are there? Developers, developer, admin, manager. That means single inheritance. Means all are using a blueprint for accessing those details, but they don't have relation with each other. Developer, admin, and manager all are independent. They are all using one blueprint called employee. That's it. Now the point is, I want to access the details of all of them through one object. Then for which class I have to create an object? Through one object, I have to access all employees. Then for which class I have to create an object? Which class? It is not multi-level inheritance. If it is multi-level inheritance, you will create for last one. For which class? If you create an object for manager, only manager will come. Manager is not having relation with admin. Na? If you create an object for employee, only employee will come. You see, employee means only employee will come. If you create an object for this, only these will come. If you create an object for developer, only developer will come. So That means if you can create an object which can work for all these classes, that means you know inherit polymorphism, right? Generally, people think that polymorphism means function overloading, method overloading. It's not about overloading a function or a method. It's about overloading memory. Memory is overloaded. So that means over polymorphism is about overloading the memory in such a way that it can work for different situations. It's a simple trick actually. See, I am creating employees. Employees is an object. This employee object is an array type. In that array, I am passing new developer at first index, new admin at second index. So new manager at third index. That means how many objects are there? Object is only one. What is it? Employees. But at one zero index, it works for developer. At one index, it can work for admin. And at two index, it can work for manager. All are independently working, but one object only. So that means employees object is exhibiting polymorphism. That means we designed that object in such a way that it can work for all three employees. Now you can actually use destructing, but we don't need destructing here. For example, see now, I am asking, so here designation, I am asking designation. So let designation is equal to prompt, and I will say enter designation. When user enters designation, I need to get that designation related employee details. So that means now I have to perform an iteration for where employee of collection is employees, for where employee of employees, if employee, if every employee have a, if every employee dot designation is matching with the designation we entered, then that employee related print method should work. That employee related print method should work. That means the print of that employee should happen. So that means now we will run this. Here object is only one, employees object. This employees object is designed in such a way that it can work for all three classes. You see now when I run this, it asks enter designation. I'm entering designation manager, and okay, manager details will come. I'm entering the designation admin, admin details will come. I'm entering the details of developer, then developer details will come. Actually, to handle them, we need three objects. One object for developer, one object for admin, one object for manager. But you are creating only one object which is working for all three. So this is polymorphism. Polymorphism is a technique of designing components in such a way that they can have multiple behaviors. According to the situation, they can change their functionality. They can work for different situations. To work for different situations, we don't need to create different objects. So you can create one object which can work for different situations. So that is what actually the concept of polymorphism is. So this improves the performance. It reduces complexity. You don't need so many objects. One object will manage so many works. That is the ability of polymorphism is. This is used in various occasions. That means generally you will see in object oriented programming languages to work for different situations. Already I told you, suppose you have to design an application. This application should able to connect with the database, but we are using some application designed with some JavaScript or say some Node.js like that. Server side some application. It should communicate with the database. With which database? Database can be anything. Some projects use Oracle as database, depending on their project requirement. Some use MySQL, some use SQL Server, some use MongoDB, depending on their requirements. But in Node.js, I need one class called connect. This connect class should able to connect with any database. It should able to connect with any database. It should able to work with Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, MongoDB. Some technologies, due to their technical reasons, what they do is, so they give separate classes. One class for Oracle connection, another class for MySQL connection, another class for SQL Server connection, another class for Mongo connection. Means 5 classes for 5 different databases. But if you can design one class that can work for all, that means it's exhibiting polymorphism. They cannot do that every time because of the technical issues in the communication. That's the reason some technologies will have so many classes. Some technologies will have one class doing all the work. If one class is doing all the work, then some issues also may come. That is depending on the technology. That means you must able to design a class in such a way that can work for different situations. Actually not class, you are designing an object that can work for different classes. So what is the concept of polymorphism? Polymorphism, the term poly means many, and morphos means forms. Poly means many and morphos means forms. So it is the ability of a component to change its behavior according to state and situation. According to state and situation. Actually, technically, polymorphism is a single base class object. A single base class object. Polymorphism is a single base class object using the memory of multiple derived classes. That is technically actually, but in our JavaScript, how we do a single object in JavaScript, a single object can work for various classes. In JavaScript, a single object can work for various classes. That's what polymorphism is. So that is depending on the memory allocations, how you are allocating the memory and using it. That is polymorphism. So this example I will post. This is the example. In this example, we are creating an object that can work for different employees. That's the basic example. So this is the simple concept of inheritance and polymorphism. JavaScript don't support much. Already I told you that in other programming languages, you have a lot of options related to OOP. Here you have only few things. These are the basic things. Now next, once you know these basics of object oriented available here, now we need to go into very major concept. So JavaScript browser events and browser objects, we need to know about them. We'll see JavaScript browser events. Already we used various events according to situation in different examples up to now, but technically we don't know everything in a perfect way. Just we used them, but today we will see detailed information about. First point is, what is event actually? What is event? Event is a message sent by sender to its subscriber in order to notify the change. Event is a message sent by sender to its subscriber in order to notify the change. So what does that means? We will see. So event follows a software design pattern called observer. Event follows a software design pattern called observer. So what does that means here? Let's see. Actually, so event concept here, see. Event related points are important to understand. Okay. Generally, what you people think while working with events is, see, we have a function insert click. Insert click is a function, and we have a button on click insert click. Generally, what people always think insert. So about this mechanism is always people think that there is a function called insert click, and on button click we are calling that function. All right. There is a function called insert click, and on button click we are calling that function. That's the general thinking. Actually, no, it's not that. We are not calling the function. Actually, we are not calling the function. So we are pointing towards the function. It's not calling the function, it is pointing towards the function. That means from button click to function, not function button click. I will show you the point here. See, means see. So I am writing in this now. So I am writing here just head and script and body. We have button, insert, on click, insert click. Is there a function called insert click? No, there is no function called insert click. In that case, when I load this page, it should show error. Obviously, na? If you are trying to refer a variable which is not there, it should will show error. So it should show error saying that there is no insert click. You see now, when I run this and go to console, so inspect, and in the console, you can see in the console, there is no error. There is no error at all. If you are calling a function which is not there, it should show error. But observe now, when I click insert button, now it will try to point towards that function. And now it is unable to find it. Then what should happen is, see, when I click insert, it will point towards the function which is not available, then it will show error saying that insert click not defined. If event is calling function, then it should happen at the time of loading itself. At the time of loading itself, it should say that what you are calling, there is no insert click. So, but it is not doing that until or unless I click the button. That means on button click, it is pointing there and verifying is there insert click function. So event is nothing but actually here, see, in this approach, this is called subscriber. Subscriber contains the actions to perform. What actions need to perform? That is subscriber. And this is sender. That means on click, insert click. This is sender. This is sender. In this again, you have to know that. So in this, on click is actually, on click is event. And on click, it is pointing towards a function. This on click, it is pointing towards a function. That means is equal to insert click. On click, it is equal to insert click. On click, it is equal to insert click. This is this is called this is called event handler. We have two parts in that. We have an event and we have a event handler. If anyone asks what is your event, then you should say on click, on change, on blur. If anyone asks what is your event handler, that means on click, insert click, on click, delete click, on change, product change. That means what it is doing on that event, that is defined by event handler. When it is doing it, that is only event. That means we have an event and we have an event handler. This event handler is technically, this event handler is technically, we call it as a delegate. Delegate means it is a function pointer. Delegate means function pointer. In computer programming, we have function pointers. Function pointers are pointing towards the function. That means when click happened, this sender is sending a notification to subscriber. Sender sends a notification to subscriber saying that click happened. Then subscriber will do that functionality. That means subscriber contains the actions to perform. Sender tells when to perform. Sender notifies and says that now you do it. So that means the functions will not execute until or unless the event handler tells. So that means event is a message sent by sender to its subscriber to notify the change. That means the change is nothing but before it is untouched, no click. After clicked, before click what it should do, after click what it should do. That's the functionality. So event is following a communication pattern. In software designing, we have a communication pattern called observer. Event is following an observer pattern. In software designing, this observer pattern is a communication pattern. Communication pattern. I told you some introduction about pattern. Remember? I told you that design patterns will be there. Design patterns. Told you overview, not detailed design, but design patterns. Remember those? No. How many types of design patterns will be there? 23 design patterns will be there. We call them as gang of 4 design patterns, right? Gang of 4 design patterns. Creational, structural, behavioral patterns. So this is actually comes under the category of behavioral pattern, communication. Behavioral pattern means communication pattern. Observer is a pattern that it handles communication. It handles communication between the object and its function. So this is very high level question. That means if at very experienced level, if they have to ask a question, then they can ask like which pattern event follows. Because experienced web developers means architectural based questions will come. In architectural based questions, they should know design patterns. They should know about architecture behind the every functionality. Means what is event handler? Why it is called as an event handler? Why it is event handler? Because it triggers an action when that event fires up. And is it calling the function or is it pointing towards the function? That is important. So that is pointing towards the function. This is all the basic thing you should know about event. So event follows a software design pattern called observer. Observer. This is the rough diagram. So just to understand what is event handler and all this. I will upload this into classroom. Let me save this event. Okay, I will upload this diagram to you. So the point is here. So who is sender? Sender sends notification. And subscriber contains actions to perform. Event uses a delegate mechanism. That means function pointer. Event uses a delegate mechanism, function pointer. So on click, suppose I written like this. This is event. And on click is equal to insert click. This is event handler. That is event and event handler. So here generally every event handler contains every event handler contains default arguments. Every event handler contains default arguments. Two arguments will be there. This contains information about object, and event contains information about event. Information about object means it can be like button. So this can be like on click, like that. Object related information is present in this. Event related information is present in event. So that means object information contains name, ID, class, value, etc. All these are present. And event information contains like client X, client Y, like key code, char code, so which, alt, etc. Alt key, shift key, and all this. Event information contains information about event. Object information contains information about object. That is the event argument here. Right. So let's see how this actually works. Default arguments, these two will be there. For example, see, now we have button have an ID, btn insert. Button have a class btn and btn primary something. Now here we are writing a function. So insert click. Insert click is the function. Now here this event can send, this event can send two arguments. One is this, another one is event. There is no order. You can use anything. Event, this event, only this, only event. Two arguments are by default available. In addition to that, you can send anything you want, right? Default arguments two, either this or event or both, or nothing according to your requirements. So now there must be two formal parameters to collect them. Because it is sending two values, there must be two formal parameters. We know already actual parameter, formal parameter. These are actual parameters, this send event. And these are formal parameters. So formal parameters, one for object, this sends object information. And this is for event arguments, So that means object related information is now present in OBJ. Object related information means button ID, button name, button class, everything you can access there. Event related information is in E. That means event means on click, click related information. So here we are writing that document.write. See, I am writing like this here. Details like button ID. We can access that by using obj.id, because obj is an object which contains all button related details, ID, name, class, everything. So I am accessing ID. Okay, button class. So we will use obj.class. It will return the button class. So it can have value, name, so many things. As of now, I am using two. Okay. Next, event related properties. That means clicked at X position. At X position where they clicked means because a button is large, they can click right side, left side, where they clicked, you can get the position also. Such details I will show you why we need that also. We can understand why we need that options, right? Here we can get that by using event argument. Event related information is coming from E. E dot, they have like client X will get the X position. Client Y will get the Y position. We have like they click normally or with control key. They clicked with alt key or not, because see, suppose you are using some MS Word. In MS Word document, there is a link for website. You might have seen they are asking you like use control plus click to open it. Generally a link opens on click, but it is embedded in some other website, in some other document. Then you cannot directly open. They ask some other references. For example, you might have seen that. That's very common thing actually. So that means you see http://www.amazon.in like this. Now I cannot directly click on it. They say that control plus click. That means I have to press control key and click, then it will open it. it will open in a separate window. How it knows that whether I used control or not? While clicking, how it knows whether I used control or not? So that means I clicked, it is not opening because it is knowing that you are not using a control key. So how it knows whether we are using control key or not? That is also managed by event. Suppose here we used control key, used or not. So to get that e.ctrl key, so it will return true or false. True or false. If they clicked with control key, I can do some other work. I can do some other work. Such functions examples we will see. As of now, we are just collecting the information. And see now, when I click on this insert button, I am clicking at right side corner at there. Then it will get all the details. It says that button ID is BTN insert. Button class is undefined because we don't have a property called class. The property is class name. Class is an attribute. You cannot use attributes in JavaScript. You have to use property names. And I click here, it will get that class BTN primary. And clicked at X54 and control key not used. Control key not used. We will see one thing here. I click by using control key now. I hold down control key and click on insert button. Now control is true. Control is true. We can write logic here. Suppose, so if e dot control key, CTRL key, that means if it is true, then I can navigate. So location dot href is equal to, later we will discuss, location is an object used for dynamic navigation. So that we are going to learn in next level. Browser objects, in that location will come. Location.href will navigate to http :/www.amazon.in like this now. So otherwise, no control key, then it should display this message. That means we are using conditions now. I click normally, then it will display the details. I clicked with control key, then it should open this Amazon. It changes. It changes. That's very important. That means here we, suppose I am writing here insert. I said, suppose I am writing insert and control plus click to visit Amazon like this. Just on button I am defining. So ordinary click, it will get that information. And you used control plus click, it will open that Amazon. So that is very important to manage functionalities. We need to know the events. We need to know about the event arguments. So we have two important event arguments. One is this, another one is event arguments. Let's write that. Event arguments. Event arguments. Already I given above, right? Example I am giving here. Event arguments example. So 2 points are there. Default arguments. That is nothing but default arguments are nothing but we have default arguments this and event. Custom arguments. Not only default arguments, you can send your own arguments. So default arguments and custom arguments. For example, Example, default arguments. The default arguments example is this one. Just now I showed you, that is default arguments. Custom arguments, you can send your own arguments. You can send your own information. So that means, for example, see here, this event, and after that comma, I am I am typing some message here. So hello, you clicked insert button. Hello, you clicked insert button. Now this is the third parameter. This is the third parameter. That means here I am accessing MSG. And here I am printing. So message, that means message. Message is coming from MSG. So that means now when I click on this button, it says, hello, you clicked insert button. So these two are object properties. These two are event properties. These are custom. You can send your own. It can be anything. It can be string, it can be number, it can be object, it can be array. You can send anything as an argument. Because function arguments already we learned. Function arguments, you can be anything. So you can send an object, you can send a string, you can send any kind of that. You can send only argument, custom argument. You don't need to send this. It depends on your requirement. You can send only this, you can send only event, or you can send anything you want. But order is important. Order is important means you can write any order, but collecting there is same. That means first object contains this. That means the first formal parameter contains object related information. You can shuffle them. For example, here I am giving here event. That means this time observe carefully, I click here undefined. Why? Because event don't have ID, event don't have class name, because the first one is working for event. Object and E don't have control key and shift. Object don't have control key and message. That means order your wish, but collect in the same order. That means now this must be E and this must be OBJ. So now it's okay. The order your wish. You can send only one, you can send two, you can see three, anything. Any kind of argument we can send, because sometimes we cannot send only event, or we cannot send only object. We have to send our own values also. That situation I will show you. For that you need to know that event can contain lot of arguments. Default arguments will be there and custom arguments also will be there. So just this is another example for default arguments, and another example for custom arguments. Anything can be defined. You can send any option. And why we need these arguments? Very important. Because why we need these arguments? Because by sending the arguments, you can reduce the complexity. For example, see, I am writing reducing complexity. How? Suppose I want here buttons. I want button insert, I want button update, and I want button delete. Now three buttons I have. I want these three buttons to do three different tasks. insert should insert, update should update, delete should delete. So how many functions we need? If they have to do 3 different tasks, you need 3 functions, but with one function we can manage all the 3. So with one function we can manage all the 3. That means now we can write a function, database operation. So this database operation is a function, and this will be used on click database operation. That means all buttons are pointing towards the same function. If all buttons are pointing towards the same function, all will do the same work. But every button have a name. This is insert. This is having a name. This is update. This is having a name, that is delete. Now we can send this name to this database operation. That means which button clicked, that button name we can send. To send the button related information, we need this. This is an object which contains information about button. But if there are so many, you can directly send what you want. Like you can send directly this dot name. You don't need to send this and collect name. Directly this dot name means the button name will go. That means now what is the formal parameter expecting? Formal parameter expecting the button name, right? It is expecting button name. It is expecting button name, not object. Why? Because here this is not sending object this time. If it is only this, it is sending object which contains all details. But if you are sending this dot name, that means only string. It contains only name. It doesn't contain all details. So of course you can send this dot name or only this. If you are sending this, you have to collect name here in the function. As of now, the same should happen for all. This dot name, this dot name. Now the button name, here we will use a switch. Into the switch we will pass the button name, and we will write the case. If case is insert, because we are expecting a string, then document dot write, it should say record inserted. Record inserted, it can do whatever work you want and break. And if it is case update, then it should say document dot write and say record updated and break. So if you have case delete, then document dot write and record deleted. These will come. That means only one function managing all the buttons. Now what is good, what is bad? Good is that continuous operations you can easily manage. Bad is, so memory is overloaded. If I am not doing update delete, then all the memory is loaded. That means the concept here is depending on the situation. If you are looking for continuous operations, then use this. Discrete operations, then create separate functions, right? It's nothing like which one is best, because if there are continuous operations, this is best. Discrete means disconnected, every operation independent, then better go with. Why problem with this? Because all are handling one memory only. All operations are managed by this function memory. Then there will be problem in sharing informations and handling various type of other interactions in future. But this is okay if you are doing continuous operations. That means now you have 3 buttons, delete, so it should show delete click, delete record deleted. If I say update record updated, you say insert record inserted. That means you are writing only one function and handling all the buttons. That's required. Why? Because you cannot write different because not only button, drop down also can point towards it. Because for example, you have notepad or MS Word. In how many ways you can save file? You can go to file menu and select save. You can put Control S to save. You can select file menu and save as, that also opens save. That means you have written three functions. Huh? No, we have only one save function, but working for different objects. From menu, it is working. From Control S, it is working. From button, toolbar button will be there, save button. From button, it is working. Drop down, it is working. Shortcut, it is working. That means we don't write three times. All three point towards the same. Point towards the same. For example, suppose now here, suppose we have just separately, here we have a select. Select is having an option. So select is having an option. Option insert. Select is having an option update. Select is having an option. So option delete. Now will you write again this? No. What you can do is you can say on change. On change, it will point towards same database operation. Database operation, it will point towards the same database operation, but it has to send this value na. Then it can send that by using this dot value, because drop downs will send value, right? We can send that value. That means now what happens is when I select insert update, it will update. I can select, so delete. That means we will not write one function for drop down, one function for button. We will write one function for any objects. They can point towards them. They can send different. Buttons are sending name, drop down is sending value. So this improves the performance. So event handling is having lot of points. So all these days you just learned how to write event and use it for that occasion only. Now technically you have to know so many things. So this is the basic approach of how we can write. This is another example for handling these buttons. Now we need to learn what are the various types of events available. Means mouse events, keyboard events, different types of events available. That we'll see in next session tomorrow. Tomorrow you will have session because we have Pongal holidays. So from Wednesday onwards, that means because majority all people are going home, and we officially we will have holidays from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But that's the reason we have to close our session on Wednesday, Tuesday. That means Tuesday will be the last. After that again next Monday. From Wednesday to Sunday, holidays. Right? That's the reason we will have session tomorrow. Tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, same as usual, same timings. Okay? Tomorrow will continue. Right?